Operation Kaveri is currently underway to bring back Indian citizens stranded in Sudan. The situation in the capital Khartoum remains extremely volatile. There are tanks and armed militia and forces on the streets of Khartoum. Gun battles are being reported every day. The Sudanese airspace remains closed, except of course for emergency rescue flights that have been permitted. Dr. S Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, confirmed 500 Indians have reached Port Sudan and more are on their way. Incidentally, Port Sudan is about 700 kilometers from Khartoum. Indian Navy ship INS Sumedha, this is a Saryu-class petrol vessel, is on standby at Port Sudan to bring back the stranded Indians in Sudan. Two C-130J transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force are also standing by at Jeddah in Saudi Arabia to immediately fly in and rescue the Indians and fly out. The French embassy in India announced that last night two military rotation flights successfully evacuated 388 people of 28 countries, including Indian nationals. But the situation on ground remains a cause for grave concern. There are over 3,000 Indian nationals in Sudan. There are also about 1,500 long-time residents. Over the weekend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting on the evacuation of Indians stranded in Sudan. Now, both the warring factions of the Sudanese security forces have given a nod to evacuation of foreign nationals, but finding a window to move people in midst of this very intense urban warfare, where in the past few days, fighter jets, tanks and guns have been used to establish supremacy, is easier said than done. This is a war for control of Sudan, and this war is between General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. General Burhan is the commander of the Sudanese armed forces, and General Muhammad Hamadan Dagalo, also known as General Hamditi, he is the head of the Rapid Security Forces, the Rapid Support Forces, RSF. Now, RSF is the main paramilitary force of Sudan. General Hamditi commands a troop strength of over 100,000. The war in Africa's third largest country has alarmed the world. Sudan, incidentally, is no stranger to coup or multiple coup attempts. If you look back in history, since 1956, there have been as many as 35 coup attempts in Sudan. 6, of course, were successful, including the one in 2019 to 2021, where both General Burhan and General Hamditi were incidentally co-conspirators and comrades in arms. Both General Burhan and General Hamditi worked together to topple the ousted Sudanese president Omar al-Bashir in 2019, though both promised a peaceful transition to civilian leadership. Tensions spiked when an effort was made to integrate the RSF, or the Rapid Support Force, the paramilitary force, into the Sudanese armed forces. Now, this was part, incidentally, of an internationally backed plan for transition to civilian rule. Both had said yes, this would happen, but the main issue was who would be the boss man of the men and women in uniform, the boss man of the Sudanese armed forces, the top general, the head of the Sudanese armed forces, or the head of the paramilitary. And this is where both accused the other of going back on their word, and conflict erupted that has since escalated. Reports from Khartoum say that the fight is for the control of 1, the presidential palace, 2, the military headquarters, and 3, the Khartoum International Airport. And currently, it's the paramilitary force of the RSF that controls some of these very major strategic assets and buildings. But more than 20 aircraft, including a Boeing 737, were destroyed, multiple aircraft damaged in the war for control of the Khartoum airport. The damaged aircraft includes a Ukraine Airlines Skyup Boeing 737. Now, there are regional powers and there are major foreign powers. They too are playing a bigger role in this wider game for the control of Sudan. The fighting escalated after Russia secured basing rights at Port Sudan, and this gives Russia not just a a major play at Red Sea, but also by extension in the Indian Ocean region. Egypt is seen as close to General Burhan. No one knows how long will this conflict last or whether it will escalate, whether it will remain contained to places around Khartoum or spread to port cities, or will it also go to Darfur or other areas. But thousands are fleeing the country to safer areas. The situation is expected, it's feared it may deteriorate and go from bad to worse. Overland movement remains a nightmare, with street fighting between the army and the paramilitary forces being reported. The fear is that even Eid festivities did not result in a ceasefire. The apprehension now is several armed militia groups will get involved in this war, leading to a massive escalation in conflict in the days and weeks ahead.